to another episode of the Undercard, folks. As always, I'm your host, Jeff Botello, and we're going to be talking about fights that just happened Saturday night. UFC 249, what an amazing card it was. It was from start to finish, it was just action-packed, loaded, great fights. There was no real boring fights, or at least in my opinion there was none. Maybe it was because we have just been waiting far too long for some action, but all in all, this card was magnificent. What a stacked card. I absolutely loved it and enjoyed it immensely. Originally on my fight prediction show, I had given this card a 6 out of 5 rating, and you know what, we're going to stick with a 6 out of 5 rating. This like I had mentioned, from start to finish was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, to start the night off early, we had Ryan Spann versus Sam Alvey. This was a pretty entertaining fight. I mean, at one point I thought Sam was going to pass out standing. He was caught in a standing arm triangle choke, and Spann was squeezing the fuck out of him. But Spann, being the experienced fighter that he was, showed some good fight IQ and let that go, as Sam was able to pop out of that submission hold. But let me tell you guys, it was super close. I thought for sure his head was going to snap clean right off. But that being said, Sam was unable to secure the victory. That victory went to Ryan. He secured the decision over Alvey. It was a pretty entertaining fight. One thing that I did notice about Spann is that he is a massive individual, and you know, he looks like he could be a threat in this light heavyweight division. Obviously, he still needs to get seasoned up, but you know, he looks like he's a good striker. He's got like some good fight IQ. He has got a great build. He's looks physically gifted, and you know, can't wait to see more from this individual. Another crazy prelims fight was between Charles Rosa versus Bryce Mitchell. This for me was probably the surprise of the night, how good this fight was. This was this turned out, like I had mentioned, to be a pure jiu-jitsu match. Both these guys have high level jiu-jitsu games, and unfortunately we didn't see it from Rosa. Just pretty much Bryce was in charge the whole goddamn time. Holy Christ, if you guys are not onto this Bryce Mitchell just yet, you guys don't know what you're missing out. This kid is the future of the featherweight division. Let me tell you, this kid has got the biggest set of fucking balls on him. He went for 2 or 3 different twisters during this match. He almost secured them twice. He was constantly attacking Charles. Charles was definitely overwhelmed. Bryce is just an absolute beast. This is now 2 back-to-back showings where he has put on great performances. I can't speak enough about this kid. I think this kid will be a champion within the next 2 years. But hopefully he can keep entertaining. Hopefully we can kind of see him hit up some main cards here soon, because he is a very talented individual, and kind of like my dark horse for the division. He is, in my opinion, the future, and he's already secured another twister victory last year. He's already got a submission of the year, so this kid has got talent for days. And those 2 fights were just the early prelims, folks. I mean, these were just great fights to start off any card, and it continues on into the prelims with another great fight. This one went almost to the distance, but unfortunately it had to get stopped. It was a fight between Vincent McHugh versus Nico Price. Vincent and Nico put on a war. These boys came in, and there was no real feeling out process. These guys went to town and started striking. These guys had a little bit back and forth action, but Vincent was able to get the better of Nico. at the end of the third round, about a minute and a half left. Vincent was able to open up a significant gash over Nico's right eye, or his right eye, and he ended up getting that swelled and closed shut. And unfortunately, the referee had to stop action. He called the fight doctor in to take a look at the eye, and the doctor said the fight could not continue, so they had to shut that down. And Vincent McHugh with the KO win. I believe this was the second time these gentlemen have fought, and Vincent now has gotten the better of Price twice. However, I would like to see these guys go for a third dance. I know that, like I had said, Vincent is now up 2-0 on Nico, but this was just a very, all in all, just a very entertaining fight. It was a fun fight to watch, and like I've mentioned many times, if you guys have watched this show, I really don't care about records. I care about the performance that has been given inside the ring for us to all watch. Now, as for performances, this is probably one of the more kind of lackluster fights, and this fight could have gone to either opponent. This was the only female fight on the card. This is in the women's strawweight division. It was a fight between Carla Esparza versus the karate hottie Waterson. There wasn't really too much of note to be said about this fight. This fight was a little back and forth. I mean, for me, the one thing that I did notice about this fight was that I was a little bit disappointed with Waterson. I had felt that in her last performance against Joanna Jacek that Michele just doesn't really have great boxing skills, and we all are aware that she is a hell of a karate practitioner, and her kicks are some of the best in the world. However, she needs to maybe spend a little less time focused on that and get into a actual boxing gym. She is going to have to start putting together some boxing skills so that she can become more complete. I mean, she wasn't showing any progression in this fight against Carla, which I was a little bit disappointed. I felt that Waterson should have came in here and had shown substantial improvement in her game, but unfortunately we did not see that. As I had said, though, it's not like she got blown out of the water in this fight. This fight could have gone either way. This was a split decision in the judges' eyes, and I think it did go to the proper winner, in my opinion, but I could see the case for it going to Waterson as well, right? Like I said, this fight was probably the one and only fight on this card that was kind of like meh. But all in all, it still was a great card. The next fight that we had was Alexei Olynyk versus Fabricio Werdum. And much like I had thought, I thought Olynyk was going to come out with a hot start, and this one was going to come down to conditioning, and I think it really did. I think Alexei also kind of surprised Werdum and kind of came out and started boxing with him. Was beating him up early on, was landing some big nasty shots. The one thing that I didn't notice was that Olynyk in this fight looked so much more in shape compared to his last fight with Bayless. He looked like he had tightened everything up. He looked phenomenal. However, when you are 42 years old and you are still competing in MMA, that is a lot of energy to expend. He is a big boy, and he was facing off against Werdum, as I had mentioned, and Werdum is another big boy. Werdum himself, he did not look the best. As for condition-wise, he looked like he was a little bit overwhelmed, but I give that man props. He was able to kind of withstand the storm from Alexei and was able to make a fight of it. There was a case that this fight could have gone to Werdum. However, I think he just it took a little too late from him to kind of get going. He clearly won the third round, but didn't do enough in the second round to kind of take over in the judges' eyes. Alexei won rounds 1 and 2 very easily, very decisively. But it was a great fight by these two, action-packed, and yeah, it wasn't so bad. You know, I kind of expected these guys to have lots of energy at the start and kind of like fizzle out towards the end. I mean, these guys are heavyweights and they are also aging heavyweights, but needless to say, it was a very entertaining fight, and Alexei with the win, 3-round decision. All right, and the last fight for the prelims was my boy Cowboy Cerrone versus Anthony Showtime Pettis. Now, this was a rematch between these two. I believe they had last fought in 2016, and Anthony Pettis had gotten the better of Donald Cerrone with a couple of leg kicks to the body and pretty much ended his night super early. This time around, this went the distance. Not too much... Nothing really of note to be had. There was some back and forth action. It was an entertaining fight. However, Anthony Pettis was able to come away with the decision. Pettis was just the quicker of the two, was able to land some shots faster than Cerrone. And unfortunately, Cerrone now is on a 4-fight losing streak, and it's not looking good for Cowboy, but he did make a show of this and a go of this. It wasn't like he was a lame duck in the ring, right? You know, and it was kind of a good bounce back performance from Cerrone. And looking forward to seeing him in the ring again. As always, I love to see competitors that love to come in and compete, you know, and I can't mention enough about records really don't mean shit. I mean, Floyd Mayweather's got a 50-0 record, and nobody is still putting him at the top of the boxing world game, right? So it's all about entertainment value. And let me tell you guys, those prelims were fucking entertaining. Most of these fights would have been headliners in any other organization. I mean, just the prelims themselves could have been a card all on its own, a main card all on its own. Now, as we're going to get into this main card here now, we are going to start off with a heavyweight fight between Greg Hardy versus Yorgan De Castro. This one was kind of a started off really good. Yorgan kind of came out with good 1-2 combos, followed up with a leg kick. He was starting to chop Hardy's leg pretty good. In fact, between rounds 1 and 2, Greg Hardy actually heard Daniel Cormier commenting, "Why isn't he checking his leg kicks? He needs to start checking the leg kicks." And a little bit of coaching from DC went a long way for Greg Hardy. He started to check the leg kicks of Yorgan. And unfortunately, it looked like Yorgan had broken a bone in his foot when he was trying to land those kicks. And his work pace kind of had slowed down from the about 2 minutes into the second round. And Greg Hardy was able to kind of weather the storm there and kind of get his shit together. I mean, Greg Hardy is a professional athlete. He is coming from the NFL. He's still very young in his MMA career, but he is showing that he has got the fight IQ to listen to what needs to be done, get it done, and move forward, right? He showed great resilience. He didn't fade, right? His leg did take one hell of a beating, but he was able to squeak out the decision win over Yorgan. Nothing bad to say about Yorgan. It's kind of unfortunate that his foot had broken. This now unfortunately puts a L on Yorgan's perfect record. However, I want to see this man back in the ring as soon as we can. The man is a beast. He kind of reminds me of a Daniel Cormier. He's got kind of like the build. And, there was talks of seeing him maybe down in the light heavy. I don't know if he can make it down there. It is quite the weight cut, but can't wait to see more of Yorgan. Yorgan is going to be a star in this division to come. And the same thing with Greg Hardy. I think Greg Hardy has got the makings of a superstar in the works here. And can't wait to see these two guys lace it up again. And can't wait to see these guys hopefully lace it up against each other one of these days. But yeah, that was the first fight of the main card. The second fight was Jeremy Stephens versus Calvin Kattar. As some of you may know, Jeremy came in a little bit on the heavy side. This was a featherweight bout, and Jeremy came in at 5.5 pounds over the weight limit. Jeremy seems to be having some weight cutting issues. He is getting late into his MMA career, so we'll see exactly if he'll want to kind of stick with that, cutting the weight or move up in a weight division. I'm not sure exactly what he's got planned. He's a hell of a fighter. He makes for entertaining scraps. I mean, everybody wants to see him fight, and unfortunately though, he was unable to secure the victory over Kattar. Kattar ended up TKOing him in the second round. I mean, Kattar is a absolute beast. He's got to be getting pushed for a title shot here soon. I mean, the man's got an amazing record. He is beaten list of, you know what I mean, top contenders. You know, maybe he's got like another guy or two to prove against, but Kattar is the next in line, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, entertaining scrap, but Kattar was just too much for Jeremy to handle in the end. That being said, too, we are followed by another quick fight. This fight between Francis Ngannou and Cezaro Rozenstruik. Obviously, heavyweight division here. There was also a performance in the night given out to Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou had a nasty, scary KO over Rozenstruik. This fight only lasted 20 seconds. Francis Ngannou, I think there was something like in his last 5 fights, I think they've averaged, the total consumption of his last fights were like something like 2 minutes 90 seconds or something like that, right? Or 90 seconds, I don't know. It was something ridiculous. This guy has not put in too much work in the ring as of late. Francis is just a beast. He is running through everybody after his loss to Stipe. He has gone back into the UFC Institute, and this man works every day, every goddamn day. He is a scary individual. And we don't know what's going to go on with the heavyweight division, with Stipe being out due to his eye injury and unable to compete. We're not sure if Stipe will get stripped of his title here. And if that does happen, there has been rumblings that DC would fight Ngannou for that championship. I don't think he should do that. I think DC's looking towards retirement and should probably wait for that Stipe fight to complete that trilogy and then walk away from the sport. I mean, DC's already like accomplished everything that he needs to do in the sport. I don't think he needs another notch under his belt, you know, another monster under his belt. And you know, with a guy like that, there's always a chance of getting your fucking bell rung and knocked the fuck out. And, you know, there's just no need for that. I mean, like, it doesn't even seem like DC is all too interested in the championship. I think he just wants his revenge fight, you know. And, yeah, I myself would avoid fucking Ngannou. That's for sure. That guy is just a beast from, not even from planet Earth, I don't think. Just crazy. But I mean, hell of a goddamn fight, amazing knockout. Poor Rozenstruik, I don't know what's gonna happen with him. He's gonna probably take some time off and get back at it, back to the proverbial drawing board, you know. All right, so for the co-main event, this was another one that has got a little bit of a controversy associated to it. I myself thought there wasn't too much controversy. We're talking about Henry Cejudo versus Dominick Cruz. Henry Cejudo was able to secure the victory. He ended up TKOing Dominick Cruz late in the second round. Controversy came with the ref stopping the attacks of Henry Cejudo. In my opinion, I've watched this fight twice now. I had saw Dominic was down. He was in a vulnerable position. He was eating a bunch of punches, and he was only able to start climbing up the fence after the ref started to get in between the two individuals. Unfortunately, things got ugly. Dominic really did not like the decision. He had later on accused the referee of smelling like booze and alcohol, which I haven't heard much more of that, but these are definitely kind of surprising statements, you know, kind of coming off of a poor stoppage in what Dominic felt was a poor stoppage, and what I believe to be bad sportsmanship as well. You wonder how this is going to affect Dom in the future, right? He is a commentator as well, right? So you'll kind of wonder exactly how people feel about him coming back into the fold, about talking after kind of accusing one of the employees of being drunk, pretty much, right? Of having alcohol on his breath, right? It's a pretty bold statement to say. Like I says, I feel that it was a piss poor decision on Cruz's part to say that. I felt like the stoppage was a fair stoppage. He was getting pummeled, and the only reason that he was able to start climbing was because the referee did get in between the two individuals. And on a surprising note, after that fight, Henry Cejudo had decided to hang it up. He retired from the UFC. He's going out as a champion. He has claimed that he has done everything that he has wanted to accomplish in his fighting career. He claims that he is the greatest fighter to have ever been in the game. However, his record of 16-2, I would beg to differ about that. You know, he's got an amazing record. You know, he's a 2-division champion. He's an Olympic champion. You know what I mean? So nothing's to say that he is not a, you know what I mean, complete fighter. He definitely is a complete fighter. He's definitely gotten all the fucking accolades in there. However, best combat sport athlete of all time, I don't think so. I don't think so. Not in my opinion. Not at all. That being said, too, everyone else thinks that this is just a ploy for him to get a lot more money out of Dana. They've been having some contract disputes between the two individuals, and we all know that Henry Cejudo is just looking for a little bit of more money, right? So I don't know why he just didn't come out and say that. I've never been a big fan of Cejudo. I don't know what it is about him that just kind of rubs me the wrong way, but you know, more props to him though. You know, the man is a legend, and good for him. You know, he's accomplished everything that he wanted to do, you know, and props to him for going out on top. Not too many people do that, right? You know, a lot of people hold on until it's just too far gone, you know. So props to Cejudo, and best to all his and his family. All right, now for the main event, Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. This one was given a fight of the night, performance of the night. Justin Gaethje was able to pull off the surprise victory over Tony Ferguson. This one did not go the distance. This got ended in the 5th round via TKO. Justin Gaethje was just an assassin on this night. You know, everything he throws was with bad intentions. Ferguson looked beat up in this fight. He got beat up early. I think he just was not expecting the power from Gaethje. He just did not look... honestly, he just didn't look like he was prepped and ready to fight a guy like Gaethje. This being said, Gaethje just, you know, He shows why he is probably the most exciting and violent fucking athlete in MMA, right? You know, the guy just put in work. And usually anybody who fights against Ferguson, usually they look like they've been through a fucking meat grinder. And he looked pretty good after fighting Ferguson. Let me tell you, I don't know if something was wrong with El Kakui, but Kakui just did not show up at all in that fight. He looked very slow and sluggish, which was a surprise to me. Gaethje just looked like he could not be stopped and would not be stopped, and did not get stopped. This now sets up Gaethje versus Khabib. We unfortunately now will no longer get the chance to see Ferguson versus Khabib. But, I mean, after I think like 5 or 6 times trying to make that fight, and that fight still didn't go down, and then this COVID just like put the kibosh to that, we will no longer get to see this fight. So thank you, fucking COVID, motherfucker. But now we get to see Justin versus Khabib, and I think I would rather have seen Ferguson Khabib because of style-wise versus Gaethje versus Khabib, I think. But it'll be interesting. I mean, like, we're actually going to see Justin's wrestling skills in this Khabib match, because Lord knows it's just a matter of when Khabib will take you down and keep you down. Khabib has shown it before in the past with great strikers like Conor McGregor. He's able to take you down to the ground, and he will hold you to the ground, right? So we'll see what Justin can do with that fight. And yeah, I don't know what's going to be next for El Kakui. Kakui's going to have to take some time off, relax, and kind of bounce back and get back to the drawing board, because, I mean, I'm still deep down inside want to see Khabib versus Ferguson. All right, y'all, that's it for the show today. Thank you as always for taking the time out and chilling with me. Yeah, peace, much love.